Welcome to this short Energy and Water Reporting and Benchmarking, or EWRB, video by the City of Toronto. Many multifamily housing and condo properties must report under the Ontario Regulation for Energy and Water Reporting and Benchmarking. If your property meets the following criteria, select the multifamily housing property type when creating your property profile in Portfolio Manager. There are 2 or more residential units per building, and the property is 4 or more stories above ground, or it has a footprint larger than 6,500 square feet, or 600 meters squared. The building has a common entrance and is at least 80% occupied. Rental apartment buildings, condominiums, and timeshares are all examples of the multifamily housing property type. Reporting for multifamily housing presents specific challenges due to the complexity of these properties. This video will share some top tips for reporting EWRB data for multifamily residential properties. Before you start creating building profiles in your Portfolio Manager account, we encourage you to use the Multifamily Housing Portfolio Manager Data Collection Worksheet to collect and record your building data. This will help you organize the information so that you can easily add it to a building profile. You'll find a link to Portfolio Manager's Multifamily Property Data Requirements page in the description below. To download the list of inputs required for your property, click on the Create PDF or Create Word button. You can use this downloaded worksheet as a reference when you are collecting the data you need to create your building profile. Now that you have collected all of your building data and are ready to begin adding properties to your account, navigate to the My Portfolio tab and click on the Add a Property button. On the Set Up a Property screen, select Multifamily Housing as your property type. Select the number of buildings that make up your property, and select the construction status of your property. Then click the Get Started button. This will take you to a screen asking for basic property information, including name, address, and gross floor area. Here are some tips on filling out this section. Use the postal code on your property tax bill when creating your property profile. Your property tax bill postal code is registered by the Ministry of Energy when your EWRB identification number is assigned. Using any other postal code other than what the Ministry of Energy has on file will cause problems later when you submit your report to the Ministry of Energy. It will cause the ministry to email you, rejecting your EWRB report. The gross floor area, or GFA, of a building is the total area of all floors, measured from the outside surface of the building's walls. This area also includes hallways and common areas, atriums, elevator shafts, mechanical equipment areas, and storage rooms. The gross floor area does not include any exterior, unroofed, or open-air spaces, such as an outdoor parking area. You should also not include your indoor parking areas in the GFA for your building. Leave the irrigated area blank. This is defaulted to 0 for all multifamily properties. Occupancy is the percentage of your property's gross floor area that is occupied and operational. The Standard IDs section is where you enter the EWRB ID for the property. Adding an EWRB ID to your property's profile will allow you to report the property's EWRB data to the Ministry of Energy. For information on how to obtain an EWRB ID for your property, return to Step 1 in this video, or go to page 7 of the Ministry of Energy's PDF guide, which is linked to in the description below this video. There are 2 ways to add an EWRB ID to a property profile. 1. If you have an EWRB ID for the property, you can add it now while you are creating the property profile. If you don't yet have an EWRB ID for the property, you can add it later to an existing property profile. This video will cover how to add the EWRB ID during the property profile setup. For more information on how to add an EWRB ID to an existing property profile later, click the link in the description below titled Enter an EWRB ID for your property. To add your EWRB ID during your property profile setup, scroll down to the Standard IDs section. Use the drop-down menu to select Ontario EWRB ID. In the ID field, enter the unique 6-digit Ontario EWRB ID number for your property. Click the Continue button. You can now add property notes to this property profile for your own purposes. This section is optional. Click the Save Notes button. You will now be taken to the Set Up a Property, How Is It Used page. Here you will be prompted to enter additional details specific to your building type. If you do not have the data to fill the details listed, check the Use a Default checkbox for now. You can return to the Properties Details tab later to edit this information. Click the Add Property button. You will now see a green bar indicating that you have successfully created a property profile in Portfolio Manager. Note: you can update the building details later by navigating to the Property Profiles Details tab and clicking on the gray arrow to the left of the Building Use heading. This will expand the Building Use section. If your property is a mixed-use building, you may need to add additional property uses. For instance, if 50% or more of the units in your multifamily property are seniors independent living, the property should be benchmarked using both the senior living community and multifamily housing property uses. You can find Portfolio Manager's guidelines on adding additional property uses in the article titled When Should I Create Separate Property Uses?, which is linked to in the description below this video. If you need to add additional property uses, navigate to the Details tab for your property. In the Property Uses and Use Details section, select a property use from the Add Another Type of Use drop-down menu and click the Add button. You will be taken to the Add Property Use page and asked for specific information about the additional property use, including the gross floor area dedicated to that particular property use. Remember, the total gross floor area for all property uses must add up to the gross floor area you entered when you first created the property profile. The only exception is parking. The area for parking is calculated separately and in addition to the gross floor area of the property. When you have finished filling out the information on the Add Property Use page, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Save Use button. You should see a green banner at the top of your property's profile page confirming that you have successfully added the additional property use. Now your additional property use will be listed here. Hover over the property use type in the Details tab to find more information. Whether parking should be added as an additional property use depends on the energy used by the parking structure. If you have a parking structure with lighting or a heated interior, then you should add the parking area as an additional property use. If appropriate, navigate to the Details tab, choose Parking from the Add Another Type of Use drop-down menu, and click the Add button. Fill in the appropriate information on the Add Property Use page, keeping in mind that Portfolio Manager tracks area entered in the parking use section separately from the property gross floor area, so you should not include parking area in the gross floor area for the overall property. When you have finished entering the parking use information, click the Save Use button. you should see a green banner at the top of your property's profile page confirming that you have successfully added parking use to your property. After you submit your EWRB report to the Ministry of Energy, you have the option to also submit your data to the City of Toronto so that you can receive a property-specific energy and emissions scorecard that lets you see how your building is performing compared to other Toronto buildings of the same type. The scorecard will also connect you to city programs and support services to help you lower your property's energy use and GHG emissions. The instructions for submitting data to both the Ministry of Energy and the City of Toronto can be found in the table of contents in the description below this video. If you choose to submit your data to the City of Toronto, the city will collect 3 key metrics that are specific to multifamily properties. 1. Gross floor area devoted to multifamily property use. 2. Total number of residential units. And 3. Number of bedrooms. So, make sure you have entered data into those 3 key fields so that the city can provide you with useful energy and water use analysis. Thank you for watching the City of Toronto's short EWRB video.